So how exactly do you continue the story of an action-adventure animated series when you've pretty much disposed of your primary villain? And yes, spoiler alert, the Utrom Shredder never appears again in this series. The television series, at least. Don't worry, we'll get to that. The fourth season opens with the turtles returning home and, okay, either the Utrom's gratitude did not extend toward granting them asylum until they fully healed, or they were too proud to stick around. Either way, this is one area where I'd say the writers dropped the ball. It might have been neat to see an adventure on the Utrom home world. Instead, we get the first 3 episodes with them cooped up on Casey's farm, where they have to deal with Casey's cousin, who's in debt to the Purple Dragons, an intergalactic election on Earth that involves combat instead of voting, and the turtles having to commit vandalism on a nuclear plant to save a race of merpeople. When they finally return to New York, we find that with the Shredder out of the picture, Han is determined to make the Purple Dragons the biggest crime power in the city, going so far as to steal weapons and gear from Bishop, which in the 4th episode of the year included some sort of monster that at one point used to be a naval officer whose wife and kid remain. The next episode, I, Monster, shows us what happened to Bishop's superhuman experiment, who has now become...
Everything fears me. Everything except the latch.
Okay, yes, this character is based off of the Rat King and his origins from the comics prior to the first cartoon, be it either the original ones or the Tales of the TMNT series that came later. I'm still not exactly sure which one it is. So no, I guess we can't take a shot for that one, but I'm still believing we're gonna get to use this thing eventually again. All of this is not what Bishop needed, as the president himself is threatening to cut funding to his Earth Protection Force. This causes Bishop to stage a phony alien invasion to get support back. So yeah, we're going full on X-Files for this season. Despite the Turtles' attempts to thwart it, Bishop manages to con the president into granting him more funding with his ruse, but in the process, the substance he used to make his aliens gets run off into the sewers. Well, let's hope that doesn't lead to any problems. But the main story arc of at least the season's first half involves Leonardo, who in addition to carrying a huge battle scar on the shell from Exodus, feels extremely guilty about how they got their shells handed to them by the Shredder and were forced to nearly sacrifice themselves. After spending most of the time on the farm moping, once they return, he goes into some sort of extreme mode, forcing his brothers to train more and more strenuously while being even more aggressive in fighting.
Ever since our final showdown with the Shredder, he just seems so angry.
I'm just saying, someone's gotta do something, or I'm gonna have to give Leo some therapy. Butt-kicking therapy.
This all starts coming to a head in Dragons Rising, where in addition to Casey getting some bit of closure over what the dragons did to his family, Leo goes ballistic over the fact that they couldn't completely stop Han's latest heist.
We're always one step behind. We act like a bunch of amateurs. How many times are we gonna get beaten before you guys wise up and realize this isn't a game?
In Samurai Tourist, Usagi arrives in the Turtles' world on Splinter's request to try and talk some sense into Leo.
Failure, fear. In the lives we lead, these things are inevitable. How we deal with them, that is the true test of our character.
Oh, and that rhino friend of his, Gan, also shows up and decides to explore the city on his own.
I like your style, friend. Hey, wait! I said I had plenty of gold.
Shot time! When Leo finally boils over, Splinter instructs him to go learn from Yoshi's former sensei, the Ancient One, who is basically Yoda if he was written by the Farrelly brothers.
Nice one, eh?
Okay, finally that's one definite point in favor of the old series. It never had to rely on fart jokes.
I'm sorry. I did the best I could. I did the best I could. There wasn't any more I could have done. Huh?
If there was nothing more you could have done, why do you punish yourself so?
However, this proves to have been about the worst time to go on a mission quest, as Karai now controls the foot and has decided to be even more direct than her adoptive father with the turtles. Basically, her anger over the turtles beating the Shredder has overtaken her to assume his mantle. It's the whole anger leads to hate, hate leads to the dark side, yada yada yada.
I begged Leonardo to let him go, but he would not listen to reason.
It is you who has been blind to reason. Orokosaki was a murderer, but you will not allow yourself to see the truth.
Donnie, you take Master Splinter with you. We split up, get out, and hook back up again topside.
Destroy them!
With the turtles split up and their home no more, Leonardo returns and manages to find everyone and find them shelter in an old pumping station in the park before going to face Karai.
You have gone too far this time, Karai. I remember when we first met, Karai. We fought side by side, and I said you were nothing like your father. I thought you understood honor, but I was wrong. You're exactly like him. You understand nothing!
Go ahead. Do it. Finish me.
No. I'm granting you one last chance to do the right thing, Karai. Don't waste it. I've checked it out, and this seems like a safe place, Master Splinter. We could stay here. Maybe even fix it up a bit.
It is as the great sage Shinto Sakamoto said. Home is where you hang your hat.
It's like Splinter said back in the pilot episode, change can be good. But oh boy, are things about to change radically. We'll find out next. As the turtles begin settling into their new topside lair, we get more insight into Bishop. Apparently, he's a bit older than he looks. He was originally an American soldier in the War of 1812 before he was abducted and genetically altered by aliens, and has since devoted his elongated life to stopping alien threats. But now there's a new problem. The genetic runoff from his faux alien invasion has caused other creatures to mutate.
Doctor, my life's work is to defend humanity from extraterrestrial threat. And now you're telling me that I've unleashed this plague? This is unacceptable, Doctor. This cannot happen. This outbreak must be neutralized before it spreads, before anyone realizes its true nature and tracks it back to my work.
So now we have the threat of alien mutants infecting creatures all throughout the city that both the Turtles and Bishop are having to deal with separately. alien invasions, genetically altered monsters. So yeah, now this series isn't just being influenced by Dark Age comics, it's also being influenced by B-movies. Oh, and in one of the battles, Donatello gets pricked by one of the mutants, but I'm sure that won't affect him in any way. Insane in the Membrane has Stockman going completely nuts when his attempts at a new body fail, and he finally decides that April is the cause of all his problems and goes after her, before he starts seeing her as his mother and ultimately sacrifices himself to save her. Yeah, spoiler alert, Bishop finds him and he's back working for him soon.
I can't believe you brought me back like this. Why? Why? Why couldn't you let me finally rest in peace? Why?
Return of Savanti has the Turtles and that pipsqueak Renette having to stop the monster Savanti Romero. Yeah, he was the guy who was originally trying to steal the Time Scepter and was banished to prehistoric times by Lord Simultaneous. And now he's gonna try and prevent the dinosaurs' extinction or something to screw up history. Long story short, the Turtles stop him but end up getting stranded in the Cretaceous period at the end, only to finally get the Time Scepter back 3 months later and a jump cut. Yeah, it was kind of a lame episode that could have been a lot more for me, especially considering it involved time travel. Tale of Master Yoshi, however, was a pretty good flashback episode telling of how both Yoshi and the Utroms ultimately came to America from Japan. It basically took the original tale from the comics involving Yoshi's beloved Tang Shin and fitting it into the parameters of the series' own story with a bit of Double Dragon mixed in. The story arc of the mutant outbreak comes to a head with Good Genes, where as the Turtles are trying to stop the mutants, they find out that Donnie has turned into one.
Don's been infected by the outbreak mutagen?
Yes. In Donatello's case, it's triggered a secondary mutation in Donatello's already mutated DNA.
A storyline about the Turtles mutating into monsters? Okay, in this case, this was actually well written into the story itself, with an actual setup and reason for Don's new mutation. It wasn't just pulling the mutagen has all of a sudden become stable out of the writer's butts. Bishop agrees to help the Turtles and Leatherhead find a cure if they can help him get hold of a jewel that's in Karai's possession that he was told has powers he was seeking for some reason. The Turtles get the crystal while Stockman and Leatherhead find the cure, but Bishop betrays them naturally and self-destructs his entire base.
Status report, Dr. Stockman. All units are reporting in. The cure is working. The outbreak is in full remission.
But it turns out Bishop was betrayed as well.
You lied. This has all been an elaborate lie.
Who would do this? And why?
Who indeed?
The crystal is destroyed.
And with it, Karai's hold over us.
She thought because we could not touch it, she was safe. But now it is dust.
We are free!
What sinister plot can be unfolding now? Well, brace yourselves, 'cause this is when things are gonna really get crazy. Okay, the 4th season actually ended with the episode Ninja Tribunal, where the Turtles and 4 other warriors are taken and made to fight each other before a team of Shredder clones, but it was all a test to declare them worthy acolytes to be used in some unknown fight against a great evil approaching. It's then that they realize they have been put on a boat bound for Japan, which is when season 4 comes to an end. That was supposed to lead into this 5th season, the Ninja Tribunal season, which opens with Lap of the Gods, where the Turtles and their 4 new friends are brought to the Temple of the Tribunal and made to undergo a brutal training session, where they are made to study how to harness their chi to summon mystical powers of some kind. I think you all know where this is going, but I'll save it for later. Splinter, who crashes their party along with the Ancient One, is not too thrilled with his sons being chosen, mainly because he has a real beef with the Tribunal. He partially blames them for Yoshi's death, since they refused to join with him to face the Utrom Shredder. It's here that we learn that Sharel the Utrom was not the first Shredder. Originally, the Shredder was a massive demon force that wreaked havoc in Japan 1700 years ago. Because they couldn't summon Godzilla or a Megazord, it was up to 5 warriors to stop it. One such warrior was the real Oroku Saki, who delivered the final blow to the demon, but also absorbed his power, giving him the ability to take over the land. The 4 remaining warriors, who would become the Tribunal, ultimately stopped the Shredder and split up 3 main artifacts, his body, gauntlet, and helmet, to try and prevent the force from ever returning. Sharel the Utrom basically committed identity theft on Saki. The Tribunal season only has 12 episodes, and there's probably a reason for that, as we'll see. The first 5 center on the Acolytes reclaiming 2 of the 3 artifacts that the Heralds of the Shredder took and taking them to safekeeping at the Tribunal's temple. Instead, once the artifacts are together, the Heralds invade the temple and take them all. Yeah, kinda saw that coming.
Hurry! I don't know how long I can keep this thing open!
We're home.
Why the shell would they come here to New York City?
I do not know, Raphael. But I do know what their victory today means. It means that the end of the world begins here.
I said last time that the 3rd season was pretty much laid out like comic book story arcs. Well, now it's taken a different turn. This 5th season? Yeah, it's pretty much an American anime. Now, I still haven't watched a ton of anime, but what I've seen has a very similar story structure, and hopefully I can say this in a way that makes sense. While comic books generally have individual stories that connect together to form one story arc, for the most part an anime season is laid out telling one single story broken up into episodic sections that simply have regular stopping breaks. And of course the occasional filler episode. Sailor Moon, starting with the S season in subsequent years, was where I first saw this. And this season pretty much follows this format. The Shredder's first desire is to destroy Karai for tarnishing his name, but in the process of rescuing her, the Turtles discover what their powers can really do.
What's happening?
Don't ask! Just keep doing it!
If you are on the highest plane, it will manifest as a dragon.
As the Shredder begins to transform the city into his own image, the Turtles discover that the Heralds are looking to claim 3 keystones in the city that can channel the mystical energy of the world. Yeah, that does sound like a plot element they kind of pulled out of their butts, but it's still not as frustrating as midichlorians. The Turtles realize their only hope is to unite everyone. The Foot, the Justice Force, the Purple Dragons, and the Earth Protection Force to stop the Shredder.
Commandos, hit him with everything you've got.
If I gotta risk my life, I might as well be rewarded for it.
And as the final battle comes to a climax, it turns out they have one more ally.
Master Yoshi? I will fight you to my very last breath. This demon is your very last breath. Master Yoshi.
So, despite the absolute insanity and what the hell aspect that went throughout this season, it may have been the most epic story arc of the entire Ninja Turtles franchise that I have seen. If they were going to turn the Turtles into an anime format, at least they did it the right way this time. Going with the story structure format of an anime that is ultimately what draws viewers to it, instead of just throwing in a bunch of insane crap that they think people thought was cool. And most Ninja Turtle fans never got to see it. You know why? It turns out this series also fell to the hand of network executives getting in the way. Following the 4th season's completion in 2006, the higher-ups at Fox decided they needed to do something to spark ratings in the show, so the planned 5th season got shelved from regular TV. The first 5 episodes were then shown on Comcast On Demand before the deal with Comcast got canned. It wasn't until 2008 that the remaining episodes were finally aired as the Lost episodes. So, just what did the majority of Turtles fans get instead of the Ninja Tribunal season? Ha ha!